Thank you for staying tuned to Newsmaker Live with Laura. If it's Wednesday, it's Newsmaker Live, where we make your story our story. And we have our very first caller for this evening. Thank you for holding and thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Yes, miss. Good night.
Good night.
And good night to your guest, Superintendent Nicholas and Sergeant.
Good evening.
For a while, I thought, Miss Laura, that the sergeant was excluded, but I am happy to see that you rope him in as far as the crime scene is concerned. I have known these two men for a while, and I must say that they are giving the force the best representation. But what I want to say to them, that the officers have to know that saying that once a policeman and twice a civilian, and we have to be very mindful that we will not stay in the force forever. Through some reasons, be it retirement, be it dismissal or be it sickness. So when you are an officer and you have that authority, that level of authority that has been invested in you, you have to ensure, yes, you could be firm, but you have to ensure that you are impartial and you are fair. And oftentimes, that is not the case. We see officers, as if the power tends to get to them. And they treat people anyhow. And at the end of the day, the same people that treat anyhow, they're expecting that person who may have witnessed a crime to work with them. It doesn't work so. So the point is, yes, we need the policemen, but the policemen have to be very mindful that they need us also. It's a teamwork. And remember what I say, once a policeman and twice a civilian. That's my little contribution tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, I'll go back to what you said earlier about using the firearms, going into the community with the firearms. Mm-hmm. Okay, you see that most times it's based on our discretion. We as police officers, we will not, or we should not venture into if we're going for information from somebody, we wouldn't want to go with a long arm to scare the person. But at the same time, if we go in where there's a gun battle or missiles throwing, we need to protect ourselves the same way. So it basically is just our discretion we have to use on how we go into the community, what picture we're trying to portray to the persons.
Okay, we have another call online. Hello, thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I want to ask the gentleman there, were the policemen down Soufriere aware of the guy's status?
Were they aware of the guy's mental state, you said?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's asking whether the police officers knew of the guy's mental state.
Well, from the reports we've been getting, that it's very likely that they were aware. And Soufriere is a small community where mostly everybody knows everybody. So it's very possible that they were aware.
So in a case like that, why did the policeman treat the guy like that?
Well, the matter is still under an active investigation, and I would want to comment on it too much. I would allow due process to unfold. And like I said earlier, the chips will fall where they may. So if the police, at the end of the day, are found culpable, they will have to face the consequences.
Yeah.
I hope that is the case.
Well, that has always been the case as far as the Royal Central Police Force is concerned.
I take your word for it.
Okay, thank you so much for
Because
calling.
Welcome.
You know that police officers do get, well, how would I say, they are both criminally and disciplinary dealt with, because...
When was the last time an officer was hauled before the courts for committing a crime during,
last week.
Last week?
Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was for what? What offense?
For using excessive force on
Is that right?
Yes.
And he was charged?
Yes, about 3 counts.
He has been processed, he's gone through, or
Yes,
the case is still pending?
The matter is coming up on the 10th.
Yeah.
Okay. We have another call online. Thank you for holding. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Pleasant good evening to you.
Good evening.
Laura and your guests.
Good evening,
A very
sir.
interesting program, very interesting topic. I know it's very sensitive and, I would say, delicate to many St. Lucians, the issue of crime. And also the issue of shootings, police shootings, and what have you. You know, there has been an ongoing debate as to how should the police deal with the mentally challenged who are armed and dangerous, threatening the lives of the community. Some argue that tasers can help, and I want to evoke a discussion by the three of you and possibly the nation on the issue of officers being trained to use tasers and what is keeping the police back from being issued with tasers by the policymakers.
Okay, so your question is, hold on, hello. So your question is, why the police officers can be trained in using tasers and what's holding them back or the policymakers back from implementing the use of tasers?
Yes, because we've seen, I mean, internationally, the U.S., the Canadians issued with tasers, and it is one way of reducing the number of fatal shootings.
Okay.
And time and again, we've been discussing, we've been sitting at the table, we've been at cabinet, I suppose. In other words, going back to the drawing board every time there's a shooting, and it's almost like we don't know how to handle it as a nation.
Okay, so
okay.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Yes.
What's your response to that? Tasers in the police force, the use of tasers.
Well, these are considered non-lethal measures, but even if not used properly, can end up being lethal.
Right, and so that is why he asked the question about being trained, and I thought that was very thoughtful of him to ask about the training.
Absolutely. Not only the training, because if you have to employ these measures, you need to train the officers in the proper use of those gadgets, and also you need the legislative backing in order to
There's no legislation right now surrounding tasers.
No.
Also, not just the legislation. Probably we need to train officers how if somebody gets really injured after using tasers, how to take them, resuscitate them, or take them to the hospital.
Okay. We have another call online. Thank you for holding, and thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
I wanted to say, first of all, to the officers that it's proved to me again how difficult it is to do a useful interview with police officers, especially police officers in our environment. Even that last question that came up about the tasers, what is nearer the truth is that the police have a bunch of expired tasers.
Expired tasers?
Yeah. And also, there was supposed to be a schedule of training for them that never materialized. So you have a bunch of dead tasers, and in any event, you have a bunch of guys who are not trained to handle tasers, so you're going to handle guns. That's the same thing with the matter of shooting of mentally messed up people. I mean, I've covered a number of stories over the years, and it never changes. The police say their lives were at risk and whatnot, when everybody will tell you basic that police people are not supposed to just go and earlier in the news, there was a lady, psychologist I think she is, and she was underscoring the point that you have to be trained to deal with people with mental problems, because people with mental problems don't see in the way we see, regular people see. So they're always on the defensive, depending on what they're seeing. And then you've had that chaos happening time and time and time again. I have covered several such stories over the years, you know, so nothing changes. But I thought also, and again, it's hard on the police officers. I mean, the guys are sitting there trying to be helpful, but it's very, very hard on them. I always feel sorry for them because I know they can't answer those questions straight, because I know the answers. And I know they are not in a position to.
I mean, and you're right, Rick, because at the end of the day, they're very hampered. They're controlled by the government, right? They're at the whims and fancy of the government, the resources that they receive. You know, they can't determine policy on their own, the way
I want to say,
forward.
Laura, that situation has existed a long time.
Well, of course.
And the politicians have...
But right now we're talking about constitution reform. So maybe this is the prime time for us to bring that up.
I was a little worried about you putting the guys against the wall there on the matter of discretion on the part of magistrates and so on. Because the police officer really has nothing to do with how long a person is sentenced to or whether the person is on bail. That is not the policeman's business.
Of course, I understand.
The police is there to arrest people and prevent crime and hand them over to be processed. So as many times as the guy gets bail, it's his right.
Well, of course, and I bring that up to highlight and underscore the fact that the police, in many instances, are doing their jobs, but they're let down by the other arm, their safety net, the other arm that's supposed to.
I had hoped when I saw those police officers there, I had hoped what was becoming hard for this program was how difficult it is to operate in their circumstances.
Of course.
Because I know that I've made a point of over the years, and especially in the last few months, police are operating under extremely difficult circumstances, and it just proved to me yet again, the almost pointlessness of inviting police officers.
And it's true, but then you see, sometimes you have to hear it from the mouth of the beast itself. Like, you have to hear the limitations that they go through, because a lot of the time.
But they can't even tell you the limitations. They're at risk if they tell you the limitations. So, I mean, I am surprised the officer, by the way, even began to answer the guy's question about the mad fella in Supre. He started, and then he said, wait a minute, this thing is under investigation.
Right.
It was under investigation before he admitted that the Supre policeman knew the guy was mad. But I don't want to put any pressure on the police. It's a shame. I really believe police officers want to do a good job, but their job, their circumstances are almost impossible. And what we as citizens ought to be insisting on is that the police are properly equipped, properly trained, properly protected, and properly paid.
I quite agree.
What's happening in America right now, it's very, very significant what's happening with the police right now.
Very instructive, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
so what do you guys say about that?
He made a great point. You see, we request training. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. But you see, the thing is, we have a group of dedicated officers who are willing to go out there and do the work, notwithstanding the limited resources that we have, notwithstanding the way our matters get treated in court. You understand? Notwithstanding a magistrate putting out a bench warrant for us, even if we call in sick, or even if we cannot come to court.
What does that mean when they put out a bench warrant for you, even though you're calling sick? Now, hold that thought. We have another call online. When we come back from that, you will explain this. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
A question I would like to ask. I know we're talking about crime and guns, but I would like to ask a question, please.
Go ahead.
If somebody come to a police, or the police is their friend, and come to them and make a report or call a false alarm or call alarm and tell the police that person has a gun at their home, okay, the SSU come with their warrant, with guns on the police, okay, mash up the open the person's house, hold gun at them, search everywhere, and do not get any guns. Which sometimes, I mean, there's crime, sometimes somebody can have a gun, maybe they don't have, but then you all don't get no gun. Should something be done about the person that make that report? Ask them why you came to me and tell us that the person have a gun. To me, something should be done about that also, because it's spoiling the person's reputation. You understand? Stating, because there's bad people out there. If you have a problem with that person, they could call the police and set police on you, which you are innocent about it. To me, something should be done about that, like asking the person how the person have a gun. This kind of thing should be done, because there's a lot of bad people out there and there's a lot of crime out there too.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Thanks for your call.
Yes.
Yes, so
yes,
now,
ma'am.
yes, because I think this week we had a case was reported in the media with that regard. So, do you often get that?
Yes. You see, what she said that is there can something be done to persons who would have the police go out on a false report, whatever? Yes, the criminal could make provisions for that. There is an offense called wasting police time. Okay, if we go out and we notice that the person may have called and give bogus information, that person can be charged for wasting the police time, and is there in the criminal code.
Okay, we have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Good night, Miss Okay, how you doing?
Good night.
That's Corporal Hippolyte here.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you.
Yeah, that's Corporal Hippolyte speaking.
Oh, okay, there we go. I got the voice now. Corporal Hippolyte, yes.
Hi, how you guys doing?
We're good.
I just say good night to your guest.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah, good night.
Okay, Laura, I just wanted to speak community policing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to add on what the superintendent Sanjit may have said.
Mm-hmm.
Community policing is alive and well in St. Lucia, Laura. If I have to give you a list of the different initiatives that our organization have put in place, I can tell you that. Apart from having the community relations branch who deals with community policing on a certain level, we have so many initiatives. We have the commissioner town hall meetings. We have a police cheerleading team.
Hold. A police cheerleading team?
Yes, we do. We have a police cheerleading
What
team.
is a police cheerleading team?
The police cheerleading team is a group of police officers who perform many times for students around the island.
Are you serious?
Yes, different dances and dance choreography. All these type of initiatives.
I need to get the police cheerleading squad to my community.
No problem. No
Okay.
problem.
So
We
tell us,
in terms of sports, we have police cricket team, police football team, volleyball team, basketball. We have new initiatives from the press office in terms of a police television talk show. We have a radio talk show. What I'm trying to say to you, Laura, is you can have the most excellent community police initiatives in an island. You still cannot control the actions of human beings. And what we do in our Sweet St. Lucian society, Laura, is that we take the reaction of a grieving or disgruntled citizen or few citizens, and we equate their view to that of every other citizen. That is one thing we do. The same way we like to paint all police officers with the same brush when one of our own happen to transgress the law.
But maybe, hold on, Corporal, but maybe it is that we're not hearing sufficiently loud or sufficiently often enough what happens when police officers transgress the law. And we expect that to happen. They come from our communities, they are human beings, and you will find that there are rogue cops, so cops who are a little bit too enthusiastic, for want of a better word, in executing their duties. But we don't hear what has happened. For instance, a police officer may have used excessive force, and while that police officer is being investigated, we oftentimes will hear that cop is still on the job, has not been removed from active policing and put on administrative duties or suspended until pending investigations. We don't know anything. We just hear that the police officer is being investigated, and we don't know anything. So we're left to theorize. And conspiracy theories, that's what it needs to thrive.
Mr. Pei, you might not hear everything, but it's not the point of you not hearing you might not hear everything, but it's not that you're not hearing anything. Because for the past couple months here, everyone has heard press releases whenever a police officer has been charged.
And I agree with that. I agree with that, but it's of late. Recently, and I remember a few weeks ago, I made mention of that in one of the shows in my preambles, where I gave my thoughts and my views on what's trending, and I commended the police force for that, in telling us, okay, this is what's happening, but this is only of recent. Now, maybe the last couple of months that has happened, but in previous years that hasn't happened. And so you find people being who they are, that is what's going to be uppermost in their mind. that the police is often cagey where it comes to their own, where you have the code blue situation going on, where the police officers, people are of the view that police officers protect each other.
I understand that.
And so maybe more needs to be done. And I commend you, the police force, for the initiatives that you've been taken. I mean, Insights and the rest. But is it sufficient to remove that bad taste in the mouths of the public collectively?
Imagine, Mr. Pierre, Canada has one of the most community-oriented police forces in the world. I cannot think of another police force that beats Canada in community policing. And still, there are times when the public is dissatisfied. The thing is that what can you do really? What more can you do? Or even if we do more, the bottom line, it boils down to human nature. And before I go, Laura, I remember you asked a question earlier about if we could give a success story when it comes to community policing. I'll give you one. The Micoud police station is one success story, and I could even prove that. This station has been involved in so many community workshops, sporting activities, dances, visits to the elderly, infrastructural repairs. I give the hats off to Corporal Sylvia William in that station. And the way I can prove that is a recently received Police Complaints Commission report revealed that that station registered no complaints being made against that station from the beginning of this year.
Oh, for the beginning of this year. Because I mean, we when you speak of Micoud, then obviously the red flag comes up, Shakadan.
And yet, Laura, who investigated the Shakadanya matter? Was it an outside agency?
Well, yes, but then what I'm saying,
because the police.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, Corporal, is you're doing those good things, yes, but they're on the heels of, Shakadan, the situation like Shakadan, where a young man lost his life and subsequently has found that,
Mr. Pierre, what I wish to tell you this and St. Lucia is this. We're not saying mishaps and things do not happen. Because at the end of the day, we seem to forget one major flaw. Whether you're the police, you're the fireman, you're the teacher, you're the principal, you're the you're the talk show host like you are human. What you need to find out, or what is interesting, is when one of our members do falter, what is the position of the organization of the whole? And like Superintendent Judge Nicholas stated earlier on, the position of the organization is that when one of our members falters, we investigate. We do an impartial investigation. But really,
should you be investigating yourself? Is what, because at the end of the day, and I made mention of that earlier, and I said where we have to remember that the policemen and women of the force come out of our communities, nurtured by our communities, raised in our communities, and first and foremost, they're human beings. So they will falter, they will make mistakes. But what happens? How does the force collectively deal with those officers? That is the crucial, and that is the critical point. Do we hear vociferously enough what the actions of the force are against those police officers? What happens? How does the force wean itself of those police officers pending the investigations? When the investigations are done, do we often hear the outcome and the results, and what is the action taken against the police officers if they are found not to be exonerated? That is the question. And it's not, I don't think for the most part that we're against the police force. We want the police force to function, and we want the police force to function properly, because you are there to protect and serve us. And so it is in our best interest for you to protect us and for you to be functioning properly. And of course there's self-preservation as well. You have to protect yourself, but ultimately your job is to serve and protect the nation. So when you have made a mistake, or when you have done something wrong, we expect to hear that you've done something wrong, And
Which we
here
do have.
here are the steps that we have taken to ameliorate the situation or investigate the situation. And once the investigation is complete, what have we done? What are the next step? What is the next step?
I agree, and that is happening, Laura. That is happening. You see, the thing I always say is that the reality of it is that in St. Lucia, I always say we have selective amnesia. Or when the next big story comes along, we forget what has been said before. But I'm telling you, Laura, it has been done. We have been a very transparent force as much as we can. However, when a member falters, this member is still presumed innocent till proven guilty, like any other citizen in this country. This member still has to go under the laws of the court, under the laws of evidence, and that is the situation. So, like I said, Laura, our organization, we're trying our best. I believe we're the most community-oriented police force in the OECS. I really do believe that. We do try our best.
And we should, and I'm one of those persons who don't just take lip service. I want the statistics to back it up. So the next time we speak, you will have the statistics to back up that the RSLPF is actually one of the better forces within the Eastern Caribbean. But
Okay,
thank you so much for calling and giving your input on our topic. Much appreciated as usual.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, good night. And those are some of the things that we have to be mindful of, and I'm speaking of us as the general public. You know, when we're dealing with the police force, we have to expect that the police force are made up of human beings that come from our communities, and how you deal with us is reflective of how we deal with you. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. Good night.
You're talking very authoritatively about this lab technician there. I'm a lab technician, and I work for a forensic lab.
For a forensic lab or the forensic lab?
No, listen to me very carefully.
I'm trying to hear you but there's a little feedback, so I can't hear you clearly.
The feedback, okay.
Yes.
Generally from the feedback. I'm saying to you that I am a lab technician. I work for Winban and I work for other labs like Heineken Lab and the hospitals and whatnot.
Right.
And I'm talking, there's a guy talking there about forensic work. Now, I've done forensic work in the past for the police insofar as where people poison water and water and whatnot. Now, I am questioning the person who's there right now because I work with the University of West Indies.
You work with whom?
I was affiliated with the University of West Indies, the UWI. I work with the University of West Indies, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also from St. Mary's College. I'm listening to you all talking there, and I see you guys talking about guns. Now listen to me very carefully. My father was a judge. And I own firearm.
You own a firearm?
I have a firearm. And when it comes to forensic lab, I have. Listen to me. In the past, listen to me. I am from the 50s, and I have my father. I have firearm, and I have guns that are spin barrels. You know about spin barrels? My father has guns. And I am a license. I have a gun license.
Okay.
But listen to me. My gun license is expired.
I have to cut the call.
Because I'm not hearing. I'll shoot your ass because I don't fuck around.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we have to cut this call off.
I'll shoot your ass.
We have to cut this call off because you know, and this is the thing. We try to accommodate everybody. But if you're under some influence of some substance or whatever it is, please refrain from calling this program because there are other callers who would like to make a contribution. And I'm sitting across from two police officers, and I am going to construe what you've just said as a threat. Okay? So if you're under some sort of substance whatever it is, if you're drunk or you're high or you have a problem, please, please, please refrain from calling this program. We have another call online. Thank you for calling.
Good night.
Good night.
This is your friend to your guest. Hello?
Yes?
Good night.
This is your friend.
Yes?
I don't think people mean any bad for the police, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a brother who's a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
I have cousins, I have families in police force. And I'm holy for them, right? But it's the way some of them behave. Some of them are arrogant, they have no manners, and they have no respect for people. Right? Now, let me give my friend there, Big Show. I find that he's me, but they call him Big Show. I little here. I find he's here. He's doing a very good job. Also, he had put out a thing, something like a booklet. Although I made the show very early, but I didn't get the show at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
About crime scene and whatnot, right?
Right.
We had to give that to him. Could just start to him. He and somebody else about.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Pierre, the problem I have, I give you one simple thing to catch the police.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I give you a simple scenario where people catch the police.
Uh-huh.
Last week, they were supposed to have a barbecue in the yard. How do you know?
I'm so okay. Hold on. I think I recognize the voice. I think this is Arthur.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Arthur, just take it a little slow for me because we're having a little bit of a problem with our earpieces. There's a little feedback, and it's getting a little distorted. We're not hearing you clearly. Okay, so just take it a little slow, and we'll try to follow you.
I don't say anything.
Yes, I can hear you.
People are afraid of the police for simple reasons.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you one simple scenario. I won't go to the history of others. Last week, the police were supposed to have a barbecue in the yard. You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You know when it comes to the barbecue in the police canteen, everything go missing?
Everything went missing?
Yeah.
Everything like what, Arthur?
Meat, drinks, the pork and so on.
The police were having a barbecue.
In their yard.
In their yard?
Yes.
And everything went missing?
Yes.
So you mean the police cannot have a safe event, Arthur?
But under the nose, they robbed them.
They robbed them?
Yes. So this who did that? Me?
Are you serious?
Yes. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
Boat go missing in front of the police. Drugs they get on the waters or whatever it is, turn to breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Right? U.S. money became false U.S. I mean, a whole heap of things to do. Fellas in lock up in the police cell,
right.
Walk out freely. Come on, Mr. Pierre. And nobody been held accountable for the police station.
And that is a concern. And as I said earlier in the show, Arthur, is this for all of the good things that is happening. You know, the police has recorded some decreases in some serious crimes.
Of course.
But however, the lack of resources is severely hampering their ability to perform to, you know, the best of their abilities. And I'm asking myself, if with those lack of resources, they're able to do what they have recorded, what would happen if they had the resources, the manpower, the lab, you know, and all of those other things that are necessary, you know, and...
But Mr. Pierre, in all the forensic lab the police have, up to now, they don't have a holding bay. Let me give you an example. A hit and run. A car hit a guy, there's blood splatter on the machine and on the vehicle. Does the police have a holding bay for that vehicle? No, they don't have.
You don't have that. You don't have that.
Well, we're not fully equipped with.
You're not fully equipped to that, because I remember even with the Oliver Gobat incident, that I mean, with a crime of that magnitude, you would have thought that they would have been able to protect that crime scene, the vehicle that was you know. So you have a point, Arthur.
Yeah.
You have a point.
I'm not giving them mixing, but they're doing a fine job under all circumstances.
Under the circumstances.
Right.
And so more resources, you think, should be pumped into the police force?
Definitely. Some more money, some more equipment. Like, for example, you have that fingerprint foolishness and other things you're supposed to get them. You don't have it. They have something, but you don't have the media things to go and check the crime scene. And for example, you have to have pictures of guys you all know that are criminals. They don't have that.
But Arthur, wait. Remember, there was this with the police, the extrajudicial killings and whatever. They said that was actually a hit list. And from what the police, I had heard the police say prior to that was just a list of persons of interest to the police. But that we've been told that was a hit list.
It's true. In the admit as they had a hit list, but the police still going around to pick up photos, you know. That's so.
They're still going to what?
The police still going around, stopping guys they from the ghetto and move the pictures.
Okay, so you're saying that the police is
wrong.
You're accusing the police of profiling.
Yes, they're going around, stopping guys in the ghetto just so, and moving the pictures. So
what do you guys say about that?
Well, from what I know, that when you're arrested for an offense, when you're in the holding cell, we normally fingerprint and photograph.
But he's not saying that they're have been arrested. He's saying that you're going around and you're profiling people. So and profiling is, okay, you have dreadlocks, so something is wrong with you, and so I'm going to pull you over and thing, you know, that kind of thing. That's what he's saying. He's saying you're going around pulling guys out of the ghettos and taking the pictures, and is that?
But profiling is part of normal police procedure worldwide. Yeah. Even when you travel, sometimes the authorities profile you, and they would pick you out of 10 or so people to carry out a more detailed search than others. So profiling is part of normal.
So Arthur, you heard that? The police is saying that is normal.
It is the way to do it. My stepson was stopped by the police, so they would go there. Just so. The guy going to business, because he lives in the ghetto, they stop the guy, because the picture, and tell him go. It's wrong. That's out of order for that.
What else would you recommend, Arthur, in lieu of that?
Okay, I'm saying you did a general thing for everybody. Whether it be Conway, Graveyard, Grafton, Leslie, but you don't come in an area because you Graveyard have walls, Grafton or Conway, and just some fella, you don't know him from nowhere, took out the picture. Now, you know, if I tell you, the guy that did that thing in this law of them is a policeman, you know. A policeman.
But then that's a good thing, Arthur. But that's a good thing in that they're not just profiling anybody. No, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing that they're not indiscriminately pulling people just because you're from a poor family or whatever.
They didn't know.
But that's a good thing. The fact that they didn't know.
So
afterwards, they didn't know who the guy father is. They didn't know.
So you're saying that if we did,
they issued an apology. So if they had known that he was a police officer, they haven't issued an apology.
No.
Should they have issued an apology?
Not yet.
Are you saying that they should issue an apology?
Yes,
on what basis?
Because the guy who is going to do his work as normal, not involved in anybody's business. You come in the ghetto. I mean, not because I have flat here like men or lock to come and supplement because hey, the trouble spot.
Okay, so I thought you were saying that they needed to issue an apology because he was the son of a police officer.
No.
Okay, all right, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much, Arthur.
Anyway, I must say, the guys have done a good job under all circumstances, but to the members, so they can respectable and the public will give them respect.
Right.
Because
So
the police there. About them has to say, you know. If you bring a report to them, they will go and say, boy, I've a child that tell me it's someone that's doing and they come here, me, you know. You kill me. That's what I find the police for that wrong. You have to among them.
Okay. So, but it's a work. So you will agree that it's a work in progress, and considering the limited resources.
Yes, my dear.
Okay. Wonderful.
But they themselves have to eradicate the success among them.
Okay.
And the adults. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you, Arthur, for calling. Yeah, and you know, as Super was saying, profiling is something that is
international.
Yeah, that's part of policing, right?
Almost like an intelligence part of policing. Yeah.
So we can see that you guys are getting some hits and some misses.
I could tell you, we've been on courses like in the rest of the OACS, and the other OACS countries are really, I would say, amazed by the amount of crimes that we solve, because they're saying with the limited resources, how are we able to solve so much crime?
Okay, so you're saying that you have statistics to back that up, that you are actually doing a better job of detecting crime. than some of your
Not just that. If you visit the CID in St. Vincent, trust me, you will not want to walk in there again. They still use typewriters. Yes.
And what we notice of late to certain crimes that are reducing here. For example, homicides is rising in other places like St. Vincent and St. Kitts.
Yeah, because right now St. Kitts is ranked number 8 in the world in the top 10 places in the world where homicides occur. And St. Kitts have a problem in solving the case because St. Kitts doesn't have a good scene. I don't believe they have a scenes of crime office. Yeah.
Oh, Arthur, this is a plea to Arthur. You need to hang up your phone. You're prohibiting us from receiving other calls or taking other calls because your phone is still not on the hook. So if you're still watching the show, you need to hang up your phone properly so we can take our other calls that are coming in. Okay? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the issue with St. Kitts because St. Kitts have a height in homicide now because of the gang problem. Yeah, they have that's the issue with them.
Right, but in our case, we're seeing that we're seeing a reduction in homicides. Okay, so Arthur's hung up his phone properly. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live with Laura. You're on the air.
Laura, I'm sorry to dominate your show calling a second time.
I will forgive you this time.
Okay, but I would like to point out that what the officer just said there about there's a big difference between random searches, random checking at the customs or at airports and so on, and profiling. There's a big difference. And by the way, when you ask the officer very shyly about the hit list, and you didn't say who claimed there was a hit list, and he saw with his own eyes.
Well, you know what? I think
you avoid saying that. It was very important that it be said the Prime Minister, as leader of the opposition, is the one who publicly stated he had seen a hit list, a death list. And even when he spoke, and I noticed you stayed clear of impacts, which is another reason the police are looked down so badly by the populace, regardless of all the cheerleading. And the officer who called you a while ago is a public relations man. You see, that doesn't work because when you compare that with the kind of community policing that's real community policing in Canada, and he's correct about that, what goes there is not community policing. Then you have the guy Bratton in New York at the time of Giuliani. What was it called, the campaign? I forget what it was called. He makes the point that community policing is next door to community service. That's not policing. You think you're going to do community policing with drug barons and etc. We have to be very, very careful of those things. So we just use those phrases. But I want to underscore that the police have a bad name here and abroad. And one of the reasons is officials of the government have given interviews in major papers overseas, especially with the Gobard case, stating that the police in St. Lucia have a corruption problem. Okay, those statements are made, they are publicized, and everything. That's why I tell you it's so hard to really have a serious interview with the police because they are on the defensive all the time. And the PR guy who told you a while ago that the police was charged, and what the big thing about it is over the years, the police have been investigating themselves. And we've had numerous, in fact we don't even have them anymore, numerous inquests that were inconclusive and abandoned and never came back. I know at least 8 of those. Madame Sequin in Balata is going crazy to this day because the police came into her place and shot up some people, and the inquest was abandoned. I could go on all night with the horror stories of police investigating police because the reputation the police has was acquired over a number of years. And for these guys may have been there, may not have been there, but they're suffering the consequences. So the police force needs a number of things. It needs an image makeover. It needs a kind of thing really with the public, some serious work done on the public on their behalf, rather than the police trying to do it themselves. They can't. There have to be some serious people making a serious effort at bringing the public back friendly with the police. Above all, you got to clear the police of impacts, because while impacts is over their heads, those guys are in trouble. They can't talk to anybody. It's no wonder they spend so much time doing charity work and all that kind of stuff instead of policing. And how you explain your Corbinier, whatever office, Justice Minister, has 6 police officers guarding him. How do you explain that? Okay, thank you very much, Laura, for dominating your show. I'll let you do the same to me tomorrow night. You have a very serious officer there, by the way, that Laura, Mr. Nichols.
Which one?
Yeah, Superintendent Nicholas.
Superintendent Nicholas has not smiled once in that whole show.
Well, he's smiling. He's smiling off. There you go. And I think it's because he takes his job, I guess, seriously. And
he's a serious guy, and I'm sure he's got a lot of his chest.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Rick, for calling again.
Okay.
Yes, but he has a point. I mean, he has a point. Here it is that the minister who is responsible for you guys, does he really have 6 bodyguards? You know, and for me, that is a sore point, because I seem to remember the gentleman saying that the day he will require bodyguards is the day he will retire. He will resign. You know, if he cannot walk the streets without being armed or without being protected, he will resign, and he hasn't. And you guys are beleaguered. You've got so many problems, and we're not hearing from the minister with that regard. You know, I mean, we have resources that you have, the CCTV cameras, for instance, that are yet to be working. Those are resources that have been bought and paid for, that is supposed to help you combat crime, or at least to detect crime, and you're not working. They're not working. We have another call online. Okay, so we're quickly running out of time, and so maybe Rick was fitting that Rick was our last caller. Any final words?
Well, I'd like to thank you for having us to share some information with members of the general public. Although we experience a decrease in the total number of crimes reported for the first half of this year over the same period last year, that, I suppose, is due partly by the hard-working men and women within the organization, but more importantly, the assistance, the invaluable support that we have gotten from members of the public. But we must not be over-optimistic. We must continue the hard work, continue urging members of the public to assist us, so we can further reduce crime.
It would be interesting to see what the statistics say between April and August. That's what I'd like to see. What is the composition from April to August?
Well, what I would like to just continue urging solutions to do is like just continue helping us, the police. Crime is everybody's business, and to the government, crime is very expensive. We need the resources. We want to solve the cases, and we can solve the cases that comes before us. Okay, we could solve almost more than 50% of the cases that get reported to us. All we just need is the backing of the government and the other governmental agencies just to assist us in the investigation.
This bookmark that I think that is so timely and that guides us as to how to deal with a crime scenes when we come upon them. How can the general public get these bookmarks?
Okay, we've been distributing them to the different supermarkets, also the pharmacies. Also, we have some available when school reopens that we will be going to the schools to distribute some. Also, we in the upcoming police week exhibition, myself and my other colleagues, we're going to have our own booth, okay, with those bookmarks. Also, the different diseases that you could get at crime scenes. We want to have the Ministry of Health on board. We're also thinking about giving vaccines, hepatitis B vaccines, to police officers, because the hepatitis B vaccine is very important, especially when you're at the scene and there is bodily fluid and there is blood and stuff like that. So it's just a little guideline for solutions, just to take heed of when you get onto a crime scene, because a crime scene could also be detrimental to your health in terms of blood getting into your bloodstream and bodily fluids getting into your bloodstream.
Wonderful. Okay, so I want to thank you guys for coming in and giving us this information and whatnot. And I was a little easy, as Rick would have me remind me, but I think at the end of the day, what was important is to highlight what you go through on a daily basis with regard to executing your duties. St. Lucia, this has been another edition of Newsmaker Live. Before we leave, there are a few people that I constantly have to be reminded that I'm supposed to say hello. These are people who watch Newsmaker Live every Wednesday without fail. I want to say hello to Walston and Flavia and Sylvie and Cindy and Gaishus and Krimi and all my girls from the junior choir. Remember, Saturday is your day. You have to be at the church for 4 o'clock so that we can resume our rehearsals. And this is Laura Japierre signing off for yet another edition of Newsmaker Live. If it's Wednesday, it's Newsmaker Live, where we make your story our story.